as you stop growing, of course, everyone seeks to, even if it's unconscious, seeks to develop mentally or politically or whatever. That occurs with an amoeba cell trying to gain power through other cells. It happens with a tree trying to exploit sunlight and root space, nutrients, and it happens with humans as well. And he says, well, why, economy of principles. You can explain aggression and defense of an organism by means of one principle, willpower, as opposed to two, will survive, and maybe an aggression principle like Freud's death drag or something like this. So the ultimate essence of reality is willpower for Nietzsche. Value for Nietzsche is a matter of perspective, and what brings a living system, power structure, more power. All life is essentially evaluating and exploiting its environment in different levels of systematization, sophistication. So, for Nietzsche, there's no ultimate value at all. There's no objective morality whatsoever. In fact, he asks, what is the value of compassion? He cites Plato, Spinoza, Kant, various cultures throughout history, the Spartans, the Vikings, samurai, as not valuing compassion. So we shouldn't take it as a given. You cannot, as did Schopenhauer, he writes, simply presuppose that compassion was the ground of morality, even in a descriptive sense. Etymologically, and Nietzsche was a philologist, historian of language, he writes good, or the German gut, ultimately comes from what we now call the Goths, people. Not the Marilyn Manson Goths, the actual Goths of Germany. And it never came from compassion, historically at least. He writes this, from the Genealogy of Morality, one of his later works. In particular, the issue was the value of the unegoistic, of the instincts of compassion, self-denial, self-sacrifice, precisely the instincts that Schopenhauer had gilded, deified, and made otherworldly, until finally they alone were left for him as the values in themselves. This problem of the value of compassion and of the morality of compassion appears at first to be only an isolated matter. Whoever sticks here for once, however, and learns to ask questions here, will fare as I have fared. One has taken the value of these values as given, as a fact, as beyond all calling into question. Until now, one has not had even the slightest doubt or hesitation in ranking the good as of higher value than the evil. We must question the value of these values, he writes. Ultimately, Nietzsche thinks compassion is a harmful value from certain perspectives because it inhibits the flourishing of the human race. It allows that which is weak to die, to sustain itself and proliferate itself. And it is actually not in the interests of the human race as a whole, and not in the interests of the fruition of the human race, which is something that he subjectively, at least, wanted to see come about. In fact, why do we have compassion? Why do we presume that morality is almost synonymous with compassion today? He writes, well, because of the power structure of Christianity. The slave revolt in morals, he says, made established compassion as synonymous with morality. So 2,000 years ago then, the Jewish underclass inverted Roman master morals and put on pedestal values such as humility, meekness, pacifism, compassion, equality, as values in themselves, determined by God, replacing an older system of what he calls master morals, things such as pride, strength, courage, war, hard-heartedness, so on and so forth. The reason for this was for the underclass to gain power over their own masters. And of course, as we know, Christianity was first outlawed in Rome, in the Roman Empire. It was legalized by Constantine in 312 AD, and then in 476 AD or so, the Roman Empire fell. And Nietzsche attributes that to the endorsement of Christianity, that a military empire, when the military empire endorses a non-militaristic ideology, it cannot survive, and it did not survive.